In the bank, I'm still saying they focused on what they called an umbrella of new ways of working. And it basically had three things. It had agile. That was the new buzzword. They wanted everybody to have a basic understanding of what agile is, and then, in different functions, adopt it to its application to a much more detailed level. So you had agile, and then you had human-centered design, because personalizing experience, whether it was for clients or whether it was for employees, was again, significant. So you had an investment in design thinking, and we partnered with a company called Luma, which made digital content available, and then virtual workshops and face-to-face workshops. And the third was something called continuous improvement. So there was this movement in the organization to say, let's do our bit to just have these incremental improvements in the way we do things. So there was a focus on these three things. And then, of course, there was the usual suspects. There was this entire focus on all the digital disruption topics. So blockchain, artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, again, base level content being made available. The note of caution that I would sound, and I think it's important for chief learning officers, is to protect their community, both the learning and development community as well as the organization, from distraction. There are so many buzzwords flying around. And like I always say, every time a senior leader flies from one city to another and reads an HBR article, our entire framework of, business changes. And I think I think the chief learning officer needs to highlight concept fatigue. So you need to think about, what you want to invest in and the framework. But once you've made that investment, I think you've got to stick with it, till you can prove your hypothesis one way or another. But if you change that ever so often, I think people start just getting fed up. The flip side, the other way of doing that is to be honest with the community and say, you know what, it is going to change often because that's the nature of the world. That's the nature of the business. Then, there should be congruence between what you're saying and what you're doing, because you'll have senior leaders saying, we figured it out, this is our strategy, and then change it. Then there is, dissonance. But if I say, look, it's a confusing world, our models will change, but we will help you go with the flow, then you're being more transparent with your audience.